sports photography is easy, right? We have AI recognition, subject recognition, we have super fast autofocus, high frame rates, all image stabilization, so no problem getting sharp images, yet sometimes we find ourselves getting out of focus images. So is it the lens? Is it the autofocus system? Is it atmospherics? Well, what if it's actually you? So today we're gonna work on how to work on you. You're gonna have a firm grip on the right side, and they're gonna hold your lens. So most people will hold your lens like this, and that's fine, right? It's very stable and that kind of thing. What I tend to do is actually I put my hand slightly back and support the body and do this. And the reason why I like doing that typically on a lot of lenses is I can have fingertip control of the zoom. Now with this lens, I actually have it like this, right? And I can do the same thing. I'll have my stability and I'll do it like this. And the reason why I like having my hand a little bit lower versus up higher on the grip is that if you look from the side, if I have it up here, that's fine, it's stable. But when I have it lower, what I can do is by lowering my hand, my elbow gets tucked more into my body. And that gives me a little bit more stability when I'm shooting versus out here. It's subtle, it's a difference, but for me, when you're holding the camera for a long time, I find it's much more stable. So this is something I recommend. So now the next thing is, what do you do when you have to shoot vertical? So if we're gonna go vertical, the one thing we don't wanna do is this. And I see people doing this, and there's a reason why. I know it can feel comfortable because it's stable like this, but look at how my body is twisted to get myself in the control here. And this hand is kind of sticking out here. And you can kind of do it like this, right? But really what you're supposed to be doing is you twist it like this. This way, this hand doesn't have to contort your body nearly as much to get stability in the lens, stability of your whole camera, and I can still control my lens here. And once again, I'm still using my palm here technique because I like to be able to control the zoom this way. This works for me. Now the question, the problem may come up, of course, is, well, my hand gets tired here all the time. Well, that's why you have a vertical grip. This changes everything. This is why, if you're someone who shoots a lot in a vertical position, or a portrait position, a vertical grip may be something worth looking into, because it is definitely a lot more convenient and it's comfortable to be able to shoot this way. Again, so what to do about the bigger lenses? You'll probably see a lot of sports photographers, if they're shooting handheld on a big lens, they'll have their lens foot up here. And the reason why is I like to have a good secure grip, and it is a good secure grip. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, one, because I'm using a harness system, so I have my harness attached up here with a good tangle. The other thing is, if you look, you can see a space here with my elbow, right? And that's something I personally do not prefer. My lens is typically like this, right? Now it's a little bit lower, and I can actually use my chest as support and still keep things in place here, and I can move around and keep things very stable. So this is my preferred position. With sports photography is that we like to think that between stabilization and shutter speed, that should take care of any kind of blur that we have, any motion blur. But that really isn't true, because you have to think about how the systems work, right? Action beats reaction, right? And your stabilization system is reacting to input. It can react to things predictably within reason, but if you do unpredictable sudden movements, it's gonna have to try to compensate for that, right? And same with your autofocus system. It has an algorithm to predict the athlete's movements, but it can't necessarily predict yours. And so if you're handling, and I'm gonna exaggerate here, right? We have this and this, but even this, right? If you're unstable, right? Even at a thousandth or 2,000 or even a 4,000 second, if you suddenly move in a certain direction, especially when the subject is really close to you, that may be part of the reason why your image is out of focus, especially if you're using a bigger telephoto lens, right? Because not only are you magnifying the image, you're also magnifying your movement, which if any of you have never really used a 400mm lens before, and all of a sudden you use one, you realize, wow, my handling is not as good as I thought it was. So one of the things I recommend is you actually turn off your image stabilization and really look and see how stable you are and work on your technique. And one of the ways you can demonstrate how good or how bad your technique is to just go up to, like, focus on something close, almost like a macro lens, get the focus set, and then don't keep the continuous autofocus on, and just see how good you are keeping that thing in focus. And I guarantee you're gonna see that it's gonna be moving in and out of focus. And that's the thing you need to realize, that all these aids like image stabilization, autofocus, they're great. At the end of the day, you still have to have good solid technique. And I kind of look at this like driving. Stability control and traction control are great as long as you stay within the limits of its capabilities. But if you go outside of that, it's not gonna be able to help you. Let's touch on one thing real quick about body position handling. I know we have a rear monitor especially with our mirrorless cameras, and it is very useful, especially if we're used to our cell phones, right? Hold the camera out, we can do all that. And there's a use to that, like at the Strongman event, I'll use this and I'll get some weird, cool angles and do things. However, with a lens like this, and I've seen people do it, This is not the way to hold your camera. It's very hard to track an image stably. This is designed to be like this, right? You can have your shoulder tucked in, it's much more stable, and you can go like that and hold your image. This is how you should be holding it, not out here. Position. Think about where your feet are too. You don't want to be leaning back, knees locked, slightly bent knees. And the thing is, most of the time you shouldn't be necessarily straight on like this, maybe for some shots for mobility, but you want to have a slightly bladed stance, so that way, once again, you can keep that arm a little bit tucked, use the body as support. You want to be leaning slightly forward. You don't want to be doing, when you get tired and be able to do this is not a way to shoot, right? If that is, then that means you need to probably use a monopod or something else to help support your camera. You want to be in here leaning forward and be able to do the photographs like this. All right, so one of the things to think about is panning shots. How do you position your body? And I think, for example, right here we have home plate and we have first and second. The default is, okay, I'm photographing the batter, so I'm going to have my body positioned straight for I'm super stable, right? But then if you're panning, what happens? You're increasing tension on your body as you go, right? So one of the things you can do, and this makes it hard to keep it stable in panning, one of the things you can do instead is know where you're going to go. So for example, in this scenario, if I have a batter at home, and say there's a runner on second, well, where's all the action going to go after the batter hits the ball? What if they don't, right? It's probably going to be second base and first. So rather than have your position ideally for here, instead have your position set up more for here and go this way. So if you do anything, you have some tension here, and as you're moving, you're unwinding your body. This is the same thing if it goes for, say, for track and field, right? I want to touch on talking about using the monitor. One of the reasons why I can also understand why people want to do this is situational awareness, right? You want to watch that. So the problem again is the stability. So what do you do when you have this, right? You have your one eye on this. Well, we don't have to photograph like a sniper with one eye closed. You can actually keep this eye open, right? So instead of doing this and like that, keep one eye open. And I know it's going to feel really weird, especially if you're using something like a 400. You're going to have one eye that's going to be really zoomed in, one eye that's not. But if you practice and do it, you can make it work. The military does this with their soldiers. They actually have a scope on their regular rifle, and they learn to do this, and be able to keep your situational awareness by also keeping an eye in focus. So I can do that even with my 400. I can do this, and that way, if I am focused on home plate with my lens, I can still see things like the corner of my eye. And you have to remember, humans, our eyes are facing forward, so we're predators, right? So we're very keen on movement, and that's all we need. All I need to do is see a flash of movement in my eye, and I can decide, okay, do I need to swing my camera over there, or can I stay focused on the play at hand? So that's just something I would recommend trying out. It would really help you out with keeping on top of plays. If you're going for track and field, say the runner is starting way down there, and they're going to come by here, and this is probably where you're going to stop. Rather than be all posed here and then constantly just wind yourself up, have yourself set up for here and go this way, and unwind your body as you're moving. This way you're going to have a much more stable pan, and you're going to feel a lot more in control when you're doing the shot. So these are some of the things that I would recommend doing for helping you get some better shots, because yes, image stabilization helps, fast shutter speeds help, but at the end of the day, you also have to do your part to make sure you're getting the best technique possible, and that will give you much more consistent keepers in your photos.